First class, 1980. Back in those days, the senior circuit was trying to catch up to their AL colleagues offensively. In the AL, the Silver Slugger honored the DH. In the NL, the pitcher. Of course, that's not how it played out on the field, where the NL captured 11 All-Star games in a row from 1972 through 1982. But in the initial class of NL Silver Slugger honorees, the thump was decidedly lacking in comparison. Where the AL had George Brett, Robin Yount, and Reggie Jackson, the NL countered with a quintet of Cardinals, content to play small ball. Gary Templeton on turf, Keith Hernandez, the 1979 co-MVP, slicing singles, Bob Forsch. But over the years, these scales began to even. Mike Schmidt was an annual honoree. Gary Carter crossed borders, but entrenched himself behind the plate. In 1984, there was a rhino. Tony Gwynn emerged. Will Clark to Bobby Bowe to Barry Bonds. By the late 90s, there was a home run arms race confined almost exclusively to the senior circuit. And this summer, that held true once again. From McGuire and Sosa to Schwarber v. Ohtani, this is the league where you'll find this year's most thunderous clash. With all due respect to Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh, they didn't have to face off directly. Not in this arena. Welcome to the 2025 National League Silver Slugger Winner Reveal Show, presented exclusively by Louisville Slugger and FanSided. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided MLB insider Robert Murray. And Robert, it is our distinct and great honor to be able to announce the winners of the NL Silver Slugger Awards tonight on this show.
It is an absolute honor to be here with you, Adam. Like, there's no one I'd rather do this with. I am extremely excited to get into this, to name all the Silver Slugger winners in the National League. So I'm thinking we should just dive right into this thing. Like, let's not bury the lead. Let's do it. Are you ready?
I couldn't be more ready. Excited to have everyone join us today. We're going to be going over the finalists announced 2 weeks back, then giving you the winners, awarding the NL's greatest sluggers with their hardware. Reminder that these awards are voted on by a panel of the league's managers and coaches, and I feel like I'm presenting at the Oscars here. The accounting firm of Deming, Malone, Livesey, and Ostroff verifies the tabulation of ballots. And anytime you get to say that the tabulation of ballots is verified, you know you're in for some real business. I think we should just roll, and let's start with the first base position. We have 3 finalists. They represent the class of the National League. Freddie Freeman of the Los Angeles Dodgers, a 141 OPS plus this year, has not won a Silver Slugger as a Dodger or since 2021, but just came home with a ring after hitting a walk-off home run in 18 innings in Game 3 of the World Series. As his Dodgers triumphed in 7, that is what his Dodgers do, and that is the level of clutch Freddie Freeman is known for. Matt Olson, his replacement in Atlanta, is a nominee, an unsung hero with a 138 OPS plus this year, and Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, 272, 38 bombs, a 144 OPS plus, and someone we will be speaking about a lot in free agency. Robert, this is as talented a class as it gets as finalists at the first base position.
Yeah, there's just a loaded group here. And you start with Freddie Freeman. His resume speaks for himself. He's going to end up being in the Hall of Fame conversation. He's been instrumental since going to the Dodgers and had just a phenomenal career in Atlanta. And that decision to move on from Freeman was unpopular. But Matt Olson has also been brilliant for the Braves. And he started out the season a little rocky, but he bounced back. He's had a really strong season, and he's been an instrumental part of that roster. And then you look at Pete Alonso, who I'm stunned to this point of his career has not won a Silver Slugger award, but he is just an incredible player, and free agency should be very kind to him this offseason.
And without further ado, your winner in the National League at first base is Pete Alonso of the New York Mets. Again, up to this point, one of the more stunning non-winners of any Silver Slugger. This 871 OPS this year that he posted is the highest full season mark of his career since his 2019 rookie season, where he set that rookie home run record, took it right back from Aaron Judge. He is entering free agency on a high note, seeking big money. Last year, he had to wait quite a while to receive that payday. It eventually came in Queens after much consternation, a lot of staring contests. It's still hard for me to imagine him leaving the Mets, but he's going to have to search to be satisfied. David Stearns and Steve Cohen definitely played hardball with Alonso last year. He is going to be riding the momentum of his first Silver Slugger win into the free agency pool. What are you looking at when it comes to what might be next for Alonso?
Yeah, obviously his connection to the Queens is deep, and he loves the Mets organization. But last offseason, the market didn't materialize like how he expected. But this year, he should have a better time, I would think. He's coming off of another great season. He's durable. I think that's a big part of this equation with him as well. There should be plenty of suitors involved, so it could be tough for the Mets to keep him. But there was a lot of mutual interest last year that resulted in getting a deal done. Maybe that same thing happens again this winter as well.
I know a lot of people are probably wondering how on earth Alonso has not won one. But the answer in many ways is Freddie Freeman himself. Won it with Atlanta in 2019, 2020, and 2021. Then Paul Goldschmidt took it with the Cardinals in 22. Matt Olson, another one of this year's finalists in 2023. And Brice Harper at first base for Philadelphia last year. So it's a crowded field. It has been tough for Alonso to rise above to this point, but this year he became undeniable, and now it's up to the Mets and it's up to Alonso to figure out what his future looks like. But he'll be going into those negotiations with a Silver Slugger in his trophy case. Let's take it to second base, where we have some unconventional nominees at the position. Brice Turang, 5.5 B-WAR and a 121 OPS plus this year, and a lot of that WAR is racked up defensively. Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks, he is your traditional masher and one of the most powerful second basemen in baseball, unsurprisingly a finalist at the position in the National League. And Nico Hoerner, another bit of an unconventional pick from the Chicago Cubs, 6.1 B-WAR, 29 steals, 297, 114 OPS plus, a bit more prototypical of the old days. You know, you show those numbers to Ryan Sandberg, to the 82nd baseman, and they're sweating a little bit. They're tipping their caps. But these days, you've got a little bit more power from that position. Somewhat surprising to see these names collectively as your three finalists.
Yeah, it is a very unique mix here. And you start with Nico Hoerner. He's a really complete player for the Cubs. He's offense, he's defense. As you said, he can steal bases. Craig Counsell and people around that organization just rave about him and that impact. And there's no surprise why they extended him when they did, because they view him as a big part of their future. And the same can go for Brice Turang, just without the extension, at least as of this point. You can make the argument that he was the MVP of that Brewers team this season, even in a lineup with Christian Yelich and even Jackson Chourio. He was very good for them in an increased role, and his impact should only get bigger. And then you look at Ketel Marte, extremely talented player, but the trade rumors were loud during the season. You wonder if he can end up being a guy that could have that same kind of conversation go in the offseason as well. Does he get moved? I'm thinking probably not, but we'll see.
Well, if you're the Diamondbacks, you might want to hold on to Marte. He is your National League Silver Slugger winner at second base. 283, 28 homers, a 145 OPS plus. Now, the rumblings began about a little bit of dissatisfaction in mid-August, like you said, but on the field, an irreplaceable player, probably the preeminent slugging second baseman in the game, consistently. Somehow just his second Silver Slugger honor, but this marks back-to-back years for Marte. You think when the dust settles, they probably do hold on to him. I can't envision giving him up for anything less than a monstrous haul, but he is your second baseman who reigns supreme here. You think he's probably going to stay in Arizona beyond this winter?
Yeah, I do. And you look at it, just the player overall, he's incredibly talented. Like, there's very few second basemen or just players as talented as him. And then you look at his contract as well. He just signed a 6-year, $116.5 million contract this past year, which is extremely affordable considering the production. You would have to be blown away for an offer if you're Mike Hazen. And he even admitted after the deadline, or even after the season here, that they should have bought at the deadline rather than sell. So that, to me, would seem to indicate he's pretty likely to stay in Arizona.
Let's take it to third base. Congratulations to Ketel Marte joining Pete Alonso in our NL infield. And at third base, this might be where the biggest debate lies, because we've got 4 finalists here, not just 3. That means the managers and coaches were torn. Sometimes that means too many of a good thing. In this case, it means a lot of similar seasons, all lacking something, some indefinable quality from some true stars of the game. So a crowded house here at third base, but a bunch of imperfect seasons this time around. Max Muncy of the Dodgers is a finalist, a 136 OPS plus, but only 313 at-bats. Austin Riley of the Braves, one of the game's greats, but just a 105 OPS plus this year, slightly above average. Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres, perhaps the pinnacle of this position for the past decade, a likely Hall of Famer, not quite, one of those years that blows you away, 27 homers, a 118 OPS plus, a league relative, lacking somewhat, 27 homers, nice counting though. And Matt Chapman, a 120 OPS plus, outlast Machado slightly, just a 231 average over there with the San Francisco Giants. So that's our four, and I think no matter who the winner is here, you're going to get a bit of debate on it.
Yeah, you absolutely are, because it's a unique blend of players here. And Max Muncy, his impact on that Dodgers lineup is huge. And you even saw when he missed time this season with an injury, they were not the same team. And yeah, he may not be the Ohtani or he may not be the Freeman or Betts type, but he's still got a big impact on that team. Austin Riley, same thing, but obviously a much bigger contract there. They identified him as a building block for that franchise. He's extremely talented, but health has been the issue there. But if he can stay healthy, he's absolutely one of the best third basemen in baseball. Matt Chapman was an extension guy for the Giants. They signed him to a long-term contract after they ended up adding him in free agency. His impact has been just incredible, both defensively and also offensively as well. So that's looking like a good move for them. And then Manny Machado, his impact on the field, in the clubhouse, just everywhere in that organization is massive. And his voice is loud, but his words carry a lot of weight within that organization. So he is a very deserving candidate here. So I'm curious to see exactly what direction this one goes in.
Four leaders in the clubhouse, undoubtedly. Four cornerstones at the hot corner. But your 2025 NL Silver Slugger winner at third base is Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. Again, in the traditional mold, 275, 27 homers, and a playoff team, that'll usually lock it for you. But 118 OPS plus, again, you're not blowing away the field. That is, fairly standard all-star level, sure, but not necessarily, top tier in the league. You'll usually have a third baseman outperform that somewhat. Machado gets his third Silver Slugger this year for a season that I would say fits nicely into his catalog. Doesn't necessarily stand out as one of his supreme efforts, but just another link in a long and storied history. There is nobody who's been a better fit for the Padres since he joined. That Harper Machado class continues to pay dividends, and they're sure glad they have Machado in San Diego.
They absolutely are. And this is exactly what they envisioned when they signed him in San Diego, when it caught everybody by surprise how they were able to get that deal done. And ever since then, it's just been a franchise-altering move for them, and in such a good way. His impact, as I said, on the field, in the clubhouse, just everywhere, it's so important for them. And without Machado, they are not at this point today. They're not being able to compete with the Dodgers in that division. So that signing has just been a home run for them. And now he's got another Silver Slugger award.
Let's take it to shortstop and complete the infield. This might be my favorite finalist group. And that's a tough thing to say, given that, that's a collection of the best players at every position in the NL. I like them all. They're all pretty great finalist groups, but the shortstop one might be the most compelling narratively and just star-powered for me. Three names, two NL East foes. Trea Turner of the Philadelphia Phillies, 304, 15 homers, 69 RBI this year. Missed a little time at the end of the season with a leg injury, but returned for the postseason. Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets, 31 homers, 129 OPS plus, standard greatness from the standard bearer in Queens. And Geraldo Perdomo of the Arizona Diamondbacks, 290, 20 homers, and crossed that 100 RBI threshold along with 27 steals. I love this group, Robert.
So do I. And I'm so thankful that I did not have to vote for this, because I do not know who exactly I would choose. And you look at it like Trea Turner, to me, I've said it for years, he's quite possibly my favorite shortstop in baseball. Like, just his game overall, defensively, offensively, he can steal bases too. And he's a leader in that clubhouse as well. So That was a really nice signing by Dave Dombrowski there in Philadelphia, signing him for about $300 million. And now he's up for this award. Francisco Lindor, his signing was also just a really strong move by the Mets. And they signed him for $341 million, which was exactly $1 million more than Fernando Tatis Jr. And he's been just a brilliant signing overall by that organization. And speaking of brilliant signings, Perdomo. The Diamondbacks extended him last year for 4 years for $45 million, which in hindsight now, considering his production, looks like a steal. And I'm very curious to see who ends up winning this award because, quite frankly, it could go to any of these guys and they would all be deserving.
Well, the last winner of this award at shortstop, who was not Trea Turner, who won it in 2022, and Lindor, who has won it 2 years running in 23 and 24, is the aforementioned Fernando Tatis Jr., who qualified as a shortstop back in 2021. Does Lindor make it a three-peat, or do we have a changing of the guard here? Your NL winner at shortstop is Geraldo Perdomo of the Arizona Diamondbacks. A ridiculous 7B WAR, add 27 steals to those 20 homers and 100 ribs, 136 OPS plus, someone who has impacted top prospect Jordan Lawler's development simply by being too good. Now they're looking at Lawler in the outfield because Perdomo and Marte at second and short make up a pretty incredible and impenetrable infield. It's hard to move either of those pieces as they entertain the Marte trade market potentially this offseason. And you mentioned the contract signed for $11.25 million annually through 2029 with a 2030 team option. And I'm just going to check. Yeah, they're picking up that team option, I think. I believe they believe in Perdomo, a first-time Silver Slugger winner, and someone who pretty emphatically announces the Diamondbacks' arrival in this picture.
No, he totally does. And he's one of the reasons why they're going to end up having a chance to compete for a World Series in the next few seasons. And yeah, they had that epic sell-off at the deadline, but Perdomo, Corbin Carroll, and also Ketel Marte all give you it gives you such a strong trio of players. And when the Diamondbacks extended Perdomo before the season started, like they envision him breaking out, but I don't know if they could have necessarily seen anything quite like this. And it makes you wonder, like, yeah, he's still got 3 years to go and also those options on the contract. But when he does reach free agency or end up getting the next big deal, he's looking at a massive, massive contract. So that's just a huge organizational win overall and a huge win for Perdomo as well.
Congratulations to Geraldo Perdomo, dethroning the champ. Like Joe Davis said, if you're going to beat the champ, you better knock him out. And he does surpass Lindor in the voting this year. Shout out to the NL's managers and coaches for giving us a bit of a twist. I know I just said shortstop was my favorite group, but the outfield does double the number of finalists. We've got 6 here, and the narrative is strong as we move to the outfield grass. 6 finalists, 3 winners from the outfield picture, and we have put together quite a grouping. We'll run down all the potential finalists. Corbin Carroll, who you just mentioned of the Diamondbacks, is a finalist. 31 homers, 32 steals, metronomically consistent in his power output and speed since his rookie season. Kyle Stowers, a 149 OPS plus down there in Miami with the Marlins and 25 homers. When it came time to choose from the available NL hitters in the All-Star game, he was a part of that swing-off for a reason. Pete Crow-Armstrong, 247, 31 homers, and 6 B WAR by the time the dust settled at the end of the season, certainly drove an MVP narrative in the first half and has given Chicago plenty of reason to believe moving forward. He is joined as a finalist by fellow Chicago Cubs outfielder for now, Kyle Tucker. Gets the nomination for his 2025 season spent in Chicago at Wrigley. Frustrating injury issues that he tried to play through, but you look at the numbers at the end of the year. Oh, by the way, 143 OPS plus. Yeah, he did the thing again. James Wood in Washington, 31 homers, 132 OPS plus in his first full year. Someone I spoke to before the season, you could tell he was driven. You could tell from the evidence last year he was prepared to break out, made the All-Star game, and is a Silver Slugger finalist in the outfield. And Juan Soto didn't make the All-Star team, but he is an MVP finalist, and he's here as a Silver Slugger finalist, 43 homers, 38 steals, 160 OPS plus, a 30-30 season and more at the age of 27. It's hard to put together a better 6 outfielder group than that, and the managers and coaches picked 3. I am not sure how they did it.
No, me neither. I said before for another position group, I'm thankful I didn't have to pick. And now this is another one where I have that same exact feeling, because you can make the argument for all these guys. And I'll stick with like the younger players, because we have a nice mix of veteran and also younger players here. And Kyle Stowers, he was part of the trade last year with Baltimore, kind of an afterthought in a way, because Connor Norby was a headliner going to Miami, but Stowers had a really strong start to the season, and you wondered maybe the Marlins could look to move him and try to maximize his value. And then he just had just a monster lead up until the trade deadline or just before the All-Star break, and they pulled him off the market. They were not considering it whatsoever, but his impact there in Miami is huge, and it gives them a building block. James Wood, he was part of the headline in the return for Juan Soto. That also included Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams, among others. In Wood, just from a physical standpoint and also now his on-field production, looks like a player who can be an MVP candidate year in and year out. So that trade looks like a massive win overall for the Nationals, and also gives Paul Tobani, who's now running their baseball operations department, significant building blocks to work with. And then Pete Crow-Armstrong, who ended up breaking out for the Cubs this season, he offensively, defensively, stealing bases, he has been in everything, like you do it all player for the Cubs. He looks like a huge building block for them, and I would not be surprised if they tried to extend him this offseason. It's going to be a massive payday, so it'd be very difficult, but it's a huge organizational win for the Cubs, getting him for Javier Baez, or for a few months of Javier Baez, and now they're reaping the rewards for it.
Well, you'd be satisfied with any of these outfielders without a doubt in the short and long term. Let's reveal the winners one by one. Your first winner of the NL Silver Slugger Award in the outfield is Juan Soto of the Mets. Silver Slugger winner, not an all-star, of course, naturally, duh. Third Silver Slugger in a row, sixth of his career. Somehow his first didn't come until his third year back in 2020. But 43 homers, 38 steals, the Antoine Richardson effect. He's begging for him back, but for now he's got a Silver Slugger to comfort him. Pretty good year one for the New York Mets, new addition.
Yeah, this is exactly why they signed him for $765 million. And he was getting heat after his slow start to the season, but signing that big of a contract and moving to a newish city, moving from the Bronx to Queens, and just everything that comes with that kind of contract, there's a lot of pressure with so many eyeballs watching you. And it took some time for him to adjust. He didn't make the All-Star team, but he still had a huge impact in New York. It's only going to get better, and he should be a yearly candidate for this award, among many others too.
Your next winner, and talk about a bright future and a bright present, Corbin Carroll in Arizona. 31 homers, 32 steals, 5.8 BWAR. It's tough to say this is a coming out party given he had a 133 OPS plus as a Rookie of the Year winner back in 2023. But Carroll's power, speed, hitting ability lost 25 hits year over year between 2023 and 24. But in terms of triples, 10, 14, 17. He has led the league 3 years in a row. This is his first Silver Slugger win and third for the Diamondbacks this year.
Yeah, he's another extension candidate for the Diamondbacks. And when I say candidate, he already did an extension. He signed for 8 years for $111 million. In that moment, it was a big commitment for a player that young. But that being said, he has more than lived up to it. He's still got another chance at a massive contract too. So from a Diamondbacks perspective, and extending all these young players and doing those early, it's very similar to what the Atlanta Braves have done in trying to get these deals done early to keep that roster intact. It's going to give Mike Hazen and that front office room to operate in the winter. And because of those players, they're going to end up having a chance to compete year in and year out. So that's just some brilliance there from Hazen, and also a job well done by Carroll, who's more than lived up to his potential.
And your third winner, perhaps the one that's going to invoke the longest conversation, Kyle Tucker of the Cubs. 4.5 BWAR, that 143 OPS plus. PCA in the first half maybe seems somewhat inevitable. In the second half, 216 with 6 homers, 844 home OPS, 698 road OPS. If folks are asking why Tucker and not Pete Crow-Armstrong, Tucker now will enter free agency buoyed by the Silver Slugger, much like Pete Alonso. He tried to play through some frustrating injury issues. They hit him a little bit. He shied away. They gave him a little benching and a reset, but special once again by the end of the season. How much money do you think Kyle Tucker earned himself this year at Wrigley, and where do you think he'll be competing for the Silver Slugger next year? NL or AL?
That is a really difficult conversation. I'll start with the money part. And my guess is the over-under on this is going to be around $400 million. And he is worthy of every penny of it. He is offensively, defensively, can steal bases. I've said that for a lot of players on this list, but the thing is like it holds true for all of them. He's a leader in that clubhouse. And I respect how, considering just how much was at stake for him this season, he still played for the Cubs, dealing with that significant finger injury. His production during that stretch was not what it once was. It obviously frustrated Cubs fans, but he's still an extremely important player. He's a franchise-altering, face of the franchise type player, and he's going to be rewarded for it plenty this offseason, whether that's from the Cubs, a team like the Giants can make some sense, the Boston Red Sox. There's going to be plenty of others in there as well. So I'm curious to see where he goes, but that conversation, along with Kyle Schwarber, is going to dominate the offseason.
We've got lots of baseball fans watching this stream, of course. Welcome. Thank you for watching, checking in. But we've got lots of fans of individual NL teams. And then when it comes to Kyle Tucker, everybody just zeroed in on that. Win that segment. Right now, it's open season on the Kyle Tucker rumor mill. One of the two Kyles who we're going to help define this offseason through the GM meetings, when the ground is laid, the winter meetings, and beyond. So Kyle Tucker rides into that pivotal offseason with a little bit of hardware. Shout out to Stowers, Wood, and Crow-Armstrong, though. A young core emerging bats, all deserving finalists. But your winners in the outfield, Juan Soto, who's got his long-term home, Corbin Carroll, who's got his long-term home, and Kyle Tucker, who's got some questions to answer. Now moving on to the catcher position. Lots of intrigue here and some deserving names being recognized as finalists. Will Smith of the Dodgers, who you might remember from participating in the 7-game World Series that just wrapped, and in fact, hitting the World Series winning home run in Game 7. He's still got champagne dripping from his hair, but he is also a Silver Slugger finalist. 296, 17 homers, 152 OPS plus, 4.5 B-WAR, and a newly minted ring that he'll be getting start next season. William Contreras of the Milwaukee Brewers, that league best Brewers team, that NL juggernaut, 3.9 B-WAR, 17 homers, and a 111 OPS plus this year. And Hunter Goodman of the Colorado Rockies, spoke to him at the All-Star game. Humble, happy to be there, but his performance on the field certainly more than just happy to be here. 278, 31 homers, 3.7 B-WAR from a 25-year-old catcher. That Rockies job is in a pivotal spot. They're going to have new leadership this year, and they are going to potentially have a catcher centerpiece to work with here, Robert. 2 more established names and 1 newcomer to the scene.
No, absolutely. And Goodman gives such a foundational piece for whoever runs that Rockies front office going forward. So it's a huge advantage for them having a long-term catcher there. William Contreras is a player that the Brewers identified early a couple of years ago as a player that they thought could get more value behind the plate in addition to his bat. And so far, that has been exactly the case there. It's been a huge boost to that lineup, along with Jackson Chourio and Christian Yelich, among others. So that was a great trade for them. And then Will Smith, he was a player that the Dodgers also extended, a homegrown player, someone that, in addition to Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Muncy, all these other players in the roster, just really complements that lineup really well, but also controls that pitching staff. And he's done a masterful job of that so far, and he's only just beginning in LA. So that was a really strong move for them, and also cements the catcher position for years to come.
And your winner at the National League catcher position is, I'm thrilled to announce, Hunter Goodman of the Colorado Rockies. 31 homers and that 278 average stands strong. I know what the next question is going to be, so here we go. 803 OPS on the road with more homers there than at home at Coors Field, 18-13. It's my opinion that the Rockies have found themselves a foundational piece here. Do you think they just consider catcher handled as they build the rest of that roster and work to develop the rest of that farm system into workable big league pieces?
Yeah, the catcher position for Colorado is absolutely settled here. Like, this is a no-brainer for them, and it's also a huge organizational win having that player in place, because finding a catcher like that's really difficult. And he's been a name that's been very underrated nationally, and I'm not exactly sure how many people knew him outside of Colorado, but with winning this award, that is about to change. So congratulations to Hunter Goodman on a honor well-deserved.
Yes, certainly not someone I had on my radar entering this season. He made it very impossible to ignore him, and the panel of managers and coaches deemed him undeniable as well. Didn't just win, beat out Will Smith and William Contreras to do so. That is about as gilded as it gets here among the NL Silver Sluggers. Now to a name that I believe we are all quite familiar with when it comes to the nominees for the NL DHs. This is where two of the preeminent sluggers in the league, in the game, reside. The second Kyle Schwarber of the Philadelphia Phillies has been nominated. Of course he has been. A 150 OPS plus, his best in a full season, edged out by the 155 he put up in a half in Boston in 2021. 149 that season overall, split between Boston and DC. Will he be revisiting his time at Fenway Park? We'll talk about that in a bit. Christian Yelich of those Brewers, 29 homers, a 795 OPS, 121 OPS plus this year. Tough to see that OPS below 800, but a star and very deservingly rewarded with a finalist nod here. And you might know him, Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers, 282, 55 homers, 177 OPS plus, and took the ball to start in Game 7 of the World Series, a normal thing that all DHs do. Robert, Schwarber versus Ohtani. This will not be the last time it is litigated, but this is a group of finalists. We cannot leave out Christian Yelich. That merits pause and discussion.
No, this is a really talented group of players here. And I'm going to start with Christian Yelich because I spent a few years around him in Milwaukee, and there is no player that I've been around who cares more than Christian Yelich. When he signed that contract, he places a lot of pressure on himself to live up to that contract, but also to be the one of the primary reasons why they bring a ring to Milwaukee for the first time. And I really do hope that happens for Yelich because he's just a tremendous player and just a really good dude overall. So I'm not surprised whatsoever he's up for this award. Kyle Schwarber, my love for him is well documented. If you read me on FanSided.com, the Schwarbombs, like what's not to love? You have just a home run threat unlike any other in baseball. He can also get on base really well too, and he's also a tremendous leader. And my feel from talking to people around the league is the Phillies are going to do whatever they can and anything possible to try to keep him in Philadelphia. But there's going to be plenty of competition. Looking at you, Boston Red Sox, we'll see. And then Shohei Ohtani. He is, without question, to me, the best baseball player ever. The fact that we're in the same lifetime or span where we're able to watch Ohtani and really appreciate him is just, it's a really cool thing that we should not take for granted. So definitely not surprised he's up for this award. So I'm curious to see which way this goes, but all these guys are deserving.
Well, the voters did not take it for granted either. Your NLDH Silver Slugger is Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The tightest race we could imagine, just like the MVP chase is sure to be, but the 177 OPS plus and the overall aura and greatness of Ohtani is fairly undeniable. All he does is redefine what a modern hitter is capable of. The Silver Slugger is built for him to win it. And this year he did capture it, but it is hard to imagine stronger competition at the position than Schwarber. So give everybody their flowers here. Yelich, a perfect addition to the trio. Schwarber and Ohtani going head to head for the MVP. They are also going head to head here, and Ohtani edges out Schwarber.
Yeah, and Ohtani, I mean, you look at his contract, 10 years for $700 million with $680 million of it deferred. Let's stick away from the deferred money and just look at the $700 million. Like, this is a contract where, honestly, it feels like a bargain, and he's worth every penny of $700 million from what he can do offensively and hit bombs, hit just his pitching as well. Now that he's finally healthy and can get back on the mound, his impact is massive, and from a business standpoint and on-field standpoint in the clubhouse too, because he brings the vibes. It's been the perfect signing. This is exactly what teams envision when they go out and sign a player or a star player. I don't think you could ever necessarily envision an Ohtani type player, but his impact on that organization that's already full of star players is just substantial. So this is a very well-deserved honor for Ohtani. And between this and some other awards, he's only just getting started.
He sure is. It's an honor to be able to discuss him on the broadcast today. Now on to the utility winners, and then we've got your team winner. 2 more major awards in the NL Silver Slugger slate. To qualify for the Utility Player Award, players will have played a minimum of 100 games with at least 20 games played at 2 or more positions. DH does not count as a second position. I'm not sure St. Louis Cardinals fans thought they'd be represented on the broadcast today, but not only are they making a cameo, they've got 2 of the 3 utility finalists in Brendan Donovan and Alec Burleson. Add Jake Cronenworth of the San Diego Padres in here, and the Cardinals' old school, hard-nosed, versatility-focused approach nets them a very specific advantage in this particular niche. 2 names of the 3 are St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, this is exactly what the Cardinals hoped for when they ended up holding on to both Donovan and Burleson at the deadline. And Donovan was a player who was getting really strong interest. And teams I heard connected there were the Houston Astros, the Los Angeles Dodgers, among others. And they held on to him because they didn't think that they ended up getting enough value for Donovan or Burleson. So both of those players give Ali Marmol, their manager there in St. Louis, some real flexibility and versatility in that lineup, and also defensively too. And then you look at Jake Cronenworth there in San Diego, and he's a player that they extended a couple years ago. They really like what he brings. He's been mentioned in trade rumors pretty recently. I don't necessarily understand why. Maybe it's a contract. I don't know. But he's a building block there in San Diego. So, it was a really smart move to extend him. And I hope he stays in San Diego because I know exactly how much that organization values him there.
These are 3 extremely valued players, and your winner is one of Ali Marmol's stalwarts, Alec Burleson of the St. Louis Cardinals. A more traditional winner here, the one of the 2 Cardinals who did not make the All-Star team, 290 average, 125 OPS plus, and congratulations to Alec Burleson for emerging here and winning his first Silver Slugger.
Yeah, and Donovan was the guy that ended up really dominating the trade deadline discussion, but Burleson, he is someone who is extremely valuable to that franchise. And you see with his impact offensively, what he does defensively, and how many positions that he ends up playing there. He's a name that's kind of flown under the radar nationally too, like I said, with Hunter Goodman. But now this award and winning it should really kind of change that narrative, and good for him because he's been a really good player for as long as he's been in the majors here.
That is your Silver Slugger roster. Congratulations to all players, but we have one more award to give. And these team winner nominees should not be surprising based on the individuals we have already determined to be the victors here on this show. The Chicago Cubs, PCA, Kyle Tucker, Nico Hoerner. The Los Angeles Dodgers, your 2-time reigning World Series champions, and the Arizona Diamondbacks with Carroll, with Marte, with Perdomo. Robert, any other teams you expected to be finalists that did not get mentioned here?
Yeah, the first team that would pop into my mind would be the Philadelphia Phillies. Just looking at their lineup with Kyle Schwarber, with Brice Harper, with Trea Turner, with some of these other guys there too. So I think you could definitely make the argument there. And also the San Diego Padres. I mean, you have Tatis Jr., you have Machado, you have all these other really strong players. Jackson Merrill being another who they just extended a year ago as well. So those 2 teams really stand out to me. But the 3 that are up there, you can definitely make the argument for their candidacies too.
Agreed. But the names that we have to choose from are the Dodgers, D-backs, and Cubs. And your team winner, tip of the cap to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Out homer the Mets, second place on that particular leaderboard, 244 to 224. Out RBI the Cubs by 27, 91 to 771. Third highest average in the NL at 253. Scored 19 more runs than the Brew Crew, 825 to 806. The gold standard, even in a year when it somehow felt like they were coasting until they reached October and did what they do, did that undeniable victorious surge that champions are made of. And by the way, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, Hiroki Sasaki, they've got arm talent as well. Robert, is there anyone in the NL who can dethrone these Dodgers, or is this just the start of an NL Silver Slugger team award dynasty?
Honestly, you look at it, you can make the argument that there can be a team that absolutely dethrones them. Like, look at exactly how far the Blue Jays got. They were within, an inch or 2 of winning the World Series. And you look at it, there's so many talented teams here in the National League. And I'll stick in that division. You have the Padres, who have a really good lineup. You have the Giants now, who are going to have a full season of Rafael Devers. They're going to have Matt Chapman. They have Willie Adames, who knows what they do in the offseason. You have the Brewers. You have the Cubs. You have the Phillies. You have the Mets. Who knows what the Braves end up doing next year and if they can get back to contending now that they have Walt Weiss as their manager. There's so many different teams that can compete for it in the National League, not just the Silver Slugger, but just a World Series berth as well. So next year should be fascinating because not like doing it back-to-back is tough, but three-peating, that is a whole different ballgame there.
Well, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers and their illustrious collection of stars, your team winner in the NL this year. Here's the full rundown again. Pete Alonso at first, Ketel Marte at second, Manny Machado at third, Geraldo Perdomo at short, Juan Soto, Corbin Carroll, and Kyle Tucker in the outfield, Hunter Goodman behind the dish, Shohei Ohtani at DH, Alec Burleson all over the diamond, your utility winner, and the team of the year, the Los Angeles Dodgers. We thank you for joining the Baseball Insiders today to break down the 2025 NL Silver Slugger winners presented by Louisville Slugger and FanSided. Come back here tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, where we do the AL team on the reveal show here on this very same YouTube channel. If you like what you see, hit subscribe, join us. We break down the offseason and all its intricacies on the Baseball Insiders show. You can also subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platforms. Want to chat with Robert and I between shows? Hit us in the Discord. Just hit that join button, follow the instructions, and become a member of the community. We'd really love to see plenty of you come back and especially join us tomorrow night for the AL reveal show. Robert Murray, this could not have been a bigger honor, and I cannot wait to do it with you again tomorrow evening.
Yeah, you and me both. I am extremely excited. It shall be a good time. The American League winners will be announced tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, Adam. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you. Come back here, everyone, at 6 p.m. Eastern, Friday night, November 7th. We'll see you right back here on the Baseball Insiders.